I'm going to teach you how to stand up for yourself and hold your boundaries. Hey, I'm Kai. I have 10 years of experience in complex mental health, disability, and positive behavior support, and I've seen hundreds of people through the darkest moments of their lives. I'm just going to tell you what boundaries look like when you set a new boundary, and then we're going to look at the outcome that you actually want. Because do you even know what you're trying to do when you set a boundary? Do you know that you want to change the other person's behavior? That's what you really want. So any other result is just going to make you feel worse. It's going to make you feel bad. And the other person's actually getting a little subtle victory over you, because now they're proving to themselves and to you that they don't have to change the behavior because you can't make them. But in saying that, you don't even want to get into this conflict mindset. You want to get into a proactive, solutions focused mindset. You just want to get the outcome that you want, because if you get distracted by the fight, the conflict, the action and reaction, you're actually never going to get to the result. And that's what the other person wants. And people who violate your boundaries don't deliberately seek to mess with you, unless, if you're dealing with somebody like that, the solution to your problem is to just leave that environment, get that person out of your life completely. But a lot of the times people just don't want to change their behavior, because just look at all of my other videos about how to change your behaviors and build skills and stuff. It's actually really hard work. And most people won't even change their behavior for themselves. Like, somebody wants to go to the gym so that they can get fit, and they go on and they find out how to do the things that they want to do, how to get the six-pack. They find out all the information, they won't do it. It's hard work. So if people aren't going to change their behavior for themselves, what makes you think that they're going to change it for you without a fight, And it's not even necessarily that they're fighting with you. It's like an inner fight as well, inner conflict. They've got to resolve all of the things that are going to come to the surface when they realize that their behavior needs to change. So they have to live their lives differently for you. So if you were just two complete strangers and I walked up to you and I said, I want you to live your life differently, you'd tell me to get stuffed. So it depends how much the person means to me, how much I'm willing to change my behavior. But even if it's my partner, she means the world to me, and she comes to me and she says, I want you to change your behavior, there's still going to be a pros and cons list. I don't necessarily just want to change my behavior right now. I already figured out how to live life this way. So that's just some things to consider about what you're actually dealing with. Because if you can see that you're actually trying to change somebody's behavior, then the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to realize a little bit of conflict makes sense. So you don't have to feel bad about starting a fight or creating some conflict. Starting a fight and creating some conflict sounds like terrible things for so many people, especially the kinds of people that would have clicked on this video. So we're clear. When you set a boundary, what you're really doing is asking somebody to change their behavior. Now, there are 3 responses that you might get, and they kind of go in a step-by-step order in a perfect world situation. Well, in a perfect world situation, they just go to step 3, which is apology. I am sorry that my behavior has affected you. I am going to change it. And an apology doesn't have to be the words I'm sorry. It can also sound like I understand, I can see, anything that acknowledges the issue, where people are taking responsibility for what they have done that is affecting you. Okay, if they don't apologize, they might need to justify or feel the need to justify their actions first. So they'll say, I'm behaving this way because, and you can have a whole conversation about that, but my suggestion would be, at this stage, you say as little as possible. Because again, the conflict is within them. They're justifying their behavior because they're uncomfortable. Just let them move through that, and then they may acknowledge the issue, apologize, and change their behavior. If you don't get the justification, the worst case scenario, before the scenarios where you just don't even need to be considering having that person in your life anymore, the worst case scenario is hostility. They might fight you. They might try to crush you. So in that situation, usually they will attack you with all the behaviors that you need to change, and they'll kind of flip that situation upside down and take control And that's when you're in that situation where you feel like every time you stand up for yourself, things get worse. So you do it less and less. And then you reach this stage in your life right now where you're at, where you have no boundaries and everything sucks. But in that situation, you're the one that's addressing a boundary violation. You're setting a boundary or holding a boundary with them. So you just got to focus on that one behavior change, what you want to happen in that moment, because that hostility response is going to hit you with, like, somebody's just going to go, you have this behavior that I don't like, you have that behavior that I don't like, you have this behavior that I don't like, and they're just going to sort of derail you and sidetrack you, and then maybe you even end up apologizing to them or justifying your behavior to them, and they've flipped it. And now it's all about you and your behavior that needs to change. And that's when people get really, really like, oh, I can't do this. I struggle with my boundaries. I can't stand up for myself, because every time I try to stand up for myself, my life gets worse, because what's happening is they're flipping it on you, and then you're changing your behavior, and you're like shrinking your little universe more and more every time you stand up for yourself, because that's happening. It's like the ancient art of Aikido, where you use the opponent's energy against them. They come at you with an attack and you turn their attack into your attack. So that's happening to you if you're constantly standing up for yourself and you're leaving that situation feeling worse. Real quick, let me give you an example of this at the most extreme. So I've had clients that have had what we call challenging behaviors in the mental health world, and they will be the most destructive. Like, they hurt themselves, they hurt others, they destroy property, they yell and scream and swear, police get called, ambulances, everything, you know, the whole 9 yards. So in that situation, basically every time you're interacting with that person, you need to hold your boundaries for the entire duration. So you're not going to get the change in behavior that you want ever, but you will get these little micro changes. So as long as I hold my ground and I just let them move through the hostility, justification, apology, and they're bouncing all over the place too. It's totally unpredictable. So I'm bringing up this example because a lot of the objections are like, my situation is different. It can be a long-term battle, and like I said earlier, you need to weigh up the cost and the reward. Like, is it worth staying in that relationship or that environment? Sometimes it's not. So yeah, I had a situation where I was constantly bouncing between like justification, hostility, apology, changes in behavior, and slowly but surely I actually started to get the changes in behavior. But the interesting thing was that the rest of the team, when they would support this person, didn't. They would get the exact same person that they started with. So don't fall into the trap of thinking that just because somebody treats everybody like crap, that they need to treat you like crap. And remember that there's a lot of stuff going on inside of them. It's like an inner conflict as much as it's an outer conflict. It's not like you're probably actually a small part of the conflict that's taking place. It's mostly taking place inside of them. So a little side tip is, if you can assist somebody else to deal with the conflict that's happening within them, they will be so grateful that they will happily change their behavior. So that is the reframe, and it comes from like 10 years in mental health and behavior support that really changes the game. Like, you're not there to fight them. You're there to come to a solution together. So hopefully, like, even if you don't get the step-by-step, or you don't understand how to hold your boundaries at the end of this video, you can leave this video with a little bit more self-awareness and a little bit more understanding of what's taking place. And that's like a little seed that will grow into the future, where maybe 6 months down the line or 12 months down the line, you'll have the same confidence that I have, because you'll observe. You might not even like observe it in yourself. You might see it in your friends. You might see it in your family as they stand up for themselves. You just watch these little patterns. You watch somebody get really hostile or justify and flip that fight so that the other person ends up changing their behavior. And you know what the behavior change that everybody who is really hostile and justifies their actions a lot will go for? So simple. The behavior change that they want is that you never stand up for yourself again. You never start a fight again. You never create conflict again. You just shut your mouth and do what you're told, or you just shut your mouth and like let them do whatever they want. Stay out of it. Like, it's none of your business, all those kinds of things. The behavior change that they want is you have no behavior. And just run that into the future. If that's what you're gonna keep doing, you're just gonna keep shrinking and shrinking and changing your behavior to meet everybody else's needs. Eventually, like, don't you just shrink to zero? Let's break free from that. It's possible. All of this stuff, like I said, it's uncomfortable, but the fact that you're willing to sit with that discomfort is the reason why you're going to be free. Step one is acknowledge the issue, right? In a perfect world, it goes through those steps. They'll go hostile, then they'll justify, then they'll apologize, then they'll change their behavior. And really, if you can just hold your ground through those stages, you'll get the change in behavior. You probably won't win the first fight that you start, but at least next time you engage, you try to stand up for yourself and hold your boundary, or set a new boundary even. Because if you've been dealing with this for your whole life, chances are it's been a long time since you've even attempted to set a boundary. So this will be like a science experiment. Like, you've probably grown a lot as a person and not even realized it, and you've got all these new skills and abilities and communication, and you'll probably do a much better job than you think you're going to do. I'm really sorry if it doesn't go the way that you want it to, but you might have to lose a couple of fights before you win some. Like, no like MMA, like boxer or like jiu-jitsu master dude ever goes into the ring and just wins 100% of their fights straight off the bat. Like, it takes training, it takes putting yourself in situations that are uncomfortable a lot of times to really understand them from every angle and develop like everything that you need to develop within yourself to move through this life. And if you're willing to go through the uncomfortable stuff, it actually makes your life more comfortable. Like, everything that you do that's hard makes your life easy. I know it sounds overly simplistic, but as you move forward on this path, if you're watching this video, I imagine that you're doing this in every aspect of your life. You're like, this is an issue that I have and I want to change it. And by the way, if the quickest way to deal with this issue is come and see me, I will get you from one side to the other so much quicker than watching YouTube videos. Like, the one-to-one support is going to be a million times better. We can engage online as well. So I encourage that. Subscribe to the channel, comments down below, pass the video on to other friends you know who may benefit, but also so that you can have those kinds of conversations about what we're talking about here. Like, you can ask a friend, like, do you think that these are the steps that people go through when you stand up for yourself? And then you're enlisting support in your own life, people that you actually know, and you're building an environment that's conducive to growth. You know, you're fertilizing the soil of your life, you're watering it, you're getting it sunlight, and your garden of goodness is going to grow. That's what I want to encourage every single one of you to do with every single one of these videos. Even the videos where I'm just like, if you go back into the past and you look at me and I'm doing the video diaries and I'm like, I'm really struggling with this thing today and it really sucks. It sounds kind of negative. A lot of people have told me those are the most empowering videos, because I'm actually acknowledging that I'm fucking suffering and it's hard.